On the streets of Lagos, barefoot and hungry, a 12-year-old girl held on to her mother's hand. To the world, she was just another child of a mentally ill woman. People passed them every day, some with pity, others with disgust, but most without even looking twice. But what no one knew was that inside this girl lay one of the brightest minds her country would ever see. This is Sheba's story. Sheba's life was not like the lives of other children her age. At 12, many children were sitting in classrooms, wearing neat uniforms, their bags filled with books. But Sheba had none of these things. Her classroom was the open street. Her books were scraps of paper she found in the trash. And her only uniform was the faded dress she wore every day, often torn at the edges. She lived with her mother, a woman whose mind was not whole. Some days her mother would sit quietly, staring at nothing. Other days, she would talk endlessly to people who were not there. And sometimes, she would laugh or cry without reason. Sheba understood that her mother was not like other mothers. But to her, that woman was still everything. Her comfort, her family, her only anchor in a world that often treated them like outcasts. Once, life had seemed a little brighter. At the age of 6, Sheba was lucky enough to start school, sponsored by a kind woman who saw her potential. Sheba excelled. She picked up reading faster than anyone expected. Numbers came naturally to her. Teachers marveled at her sharp mind, her ability to solve problems without hesitation. But when she turned 9, the woman who had sponsored her suddenly disappeared. No one knew what happened. Some said she traveled abroad. Others said she simply grew tired of helping. Whatever the reason, Sheba's education ended overnight. The teachers who once praised her could no longer keep her in class. And so she returned to the streets with her mother, barefoot once again. Sheba never stopped learning though. She would collect torn pages of books from the trash. She would read old newspapers left on the ground. She would solve sums by writing with sticks in the dust. Even when her stomach ached with hunger, her mind never stopped reaching for knowledge. But there was no one to fight for her future. And so the days passed, each one looking exactly like the last. Far from the streets where Sheba wandered, another girl lived a very different life. Her name was Brenda. Brenda was the daughter of a wealthy man, one of the most successful businessmen in Lagos. Her father owned properties, companies, and his name was respected everywhere. For Brenda, every material thing was within reach. She had fine clothes, expensive shoes, toys that children like Sheba could only dream of. And she attended one of the best schools money could buy, with polished floors, air-conditioned classrooms, and teachers from abroad. But beneath all that wealth and privilege, Brenda carried a secret struggle. She was not doing well in school. Her classmates understood their lessons, but she often lagged behind. No matter how hard she tried, the numbers didn't add up, the sentences didn't make sense, and her teachers were growing impatient. She felt ashamed, especially when compared to other children who seemed to learn with ease. Her father, busy with his businesses, had no idea just how much his daughter struggled. One afternoon, after school ended, Brenda waited by the school gate for her father to come pick her up. It was something she was used to, standing there with her expensive bag and neatly ironed uniform, while the driver or sometimes her father arrived in one of their shining cars. But that day, her eyes fell on something unusual. Just by the side of the road, under the shade of a tree, sat a barefoot girl with messy hair and worn-out clothes. The girl was squatting on the ground, using a stick to draw in the sand. At first, Brenda thought she was just playing. But as she looked closer, she realized the girl was solving sums. Real mathematics, writing out questions and answers with speed and accuracy. Curious, Brenda walked closer. "Excuse me," she said softly. The barefoot girl looked up, her eyes bright, despite her tired face. "What are you doing?" Brenda asked. "I'm practicing," the girl replied. "Numbers are my friends. They never leave me." Brenda hesitated, then blurted out something she had never admitted to anyone. "I don't understand numbers. My teachers try, but I don't get it." The barefoot girl, Sheba, smiled gently. Maybe I can help you, she said. And so right there under the tree, Sheba began to explain a simple math problem to Brenda. Her method was different, clear, patient. For the first time, Brenda understood. Her eyes widened. Wait, is that all? That makes sense. From that day, something remarkable began. Every afternoon after school, while Brenda waited for her father, she would sneak over to the tree where Sheba sat. There, under the open sky, Sheba became the teacher, and Brenda, the billionaire's daughter, became the student. Day by day, Brenda's understanding grew. Sheba taught her math, reading, even little tricks to remember things faster. Brenda began to improve in class. Her teachers were surprised. Her grades climbed higher. Her confidence returned. In return, Brenda would bring Sheba snacks from her lunchbox, sometimes an extra notebook or pencil. Sheba treasured these small gifts, as if they were treasures of gold. But what mattered more to her was the joy of teaching, of using the knowledge she once thought wasted. And in Brenda, she found not just a student, but a friend. Yet, Brenda always warned her, "Don't let anyone see us, especially my daddy. He might not like it." Sheba nodded. She understood. Their secret lessons continued, hidden beneath the tree. But secrets do not last forever. One afternoon, Mr. Johnson, the billionaire himself, arrived earlier than usual to pick up his daughter. He parked his car by the gate and was about to step out when he saw something that made him pause. There was Brenda, his only child, sitting on the ground beside a ragged, barefoot girl. The poor girl was writing something in the sand, and Brenda was watching closely, nodding eagerly. Mr. Johnson's first reaction was anger. What is my daughter doing with a homeless child? He thought. He walked quickly toward them. Brenda, he called sharply. Brenda jumped, startled. Daddy, she stammered. What are you doing here? And who is this? Brenda swallowed hard. This is Sheba. She's the one teaching me. She's the reason I now understand my lessons. Mr. Johnson frowned, confused. Teaching you? What do you mean? He turned to Sheba. You teach my daughter? Sheba nodded silently. Skeptical, Mr. Johnson decided to test her. He asked her a question in mathematics, then another in English. To his surprise, Sheba answered them with ease, even explaining the process better than some of his daughter's teachers. The man was stunned. How old are you? He asked. 12, Sheba replied softly. And you don't go to school? No, sir. My mother is sick, and when my sponsor left, I couldn't continue. For the first time in years, Mr. Johnson felt something stir in his heart. He saw before him not just a homeless girl, but a hidden gem, brilliant, humble, and determined despite her suffering. That evening, Mr. Johnson could not sleep. He thought about Sheba, the barefoot girl with the mind of a scholar. He thought about his daughter, who had been rescued academically by this child of the street. And he thought about his own wealth, his own privilege, and how easily he had ignored children like her. The next day, he made a decision. He called Brenda and Sheba together. Looking Sheba in the eyes, he said, From today you are no longer just a child of the street. I will take responsibility for your education. You will go back to school. You will have books, uniforms, everything you need, and you will never be left behind again. Sheba could not believe it. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank you, sir, she whispered. Months passed. Sheba was enrolled in the same prestigious school as Brenda. At first, some parents frowned. Some students mocked her. But Sheba's brilliance soon silenced them all. She rose to the top of her class, outshining even those who once laughed at her. Her teachers praised her. Competitions were won. She became a name everyone recognized, not as the barefoot girl of the street, but as one of the brightest minds the school had ever seen.